Hello everyone and welcome to another lesson. Today we are going to talk about random module in Python. In these lessons you will understand what Python random module is, and you will use it to generate some random integers and also some random floating point numbers, and we will talk about how to create our own module in Python, and finally we will be working with Python list and you will understand indexing and appending. Okay, let's go. Random module in Python. What is a random module? First of all, what is a module? Module is we can say it a library. Inside this library we have some functions, we have some variables or classes that have been already developed by Python engineers, and nowadays this enables us to reuse these functions and these classes in our code. Okay, what is randomizations? Randomization is a key ingredient for keeping software experience engaging. What does that mean? We use randomizations to make the software more engaging. For example, we use that in game developments. If you played Ludo, so the Ludo use these modules. In Ludo we use this module to generate some, for example, randomizations. And also cryptography. In cryptography, if you created Google account and while creating your Google accounts, it suggests you some random characters, numbers, a strong password we can say. So the Google use algorithms, and inside that algorithm they use these modules to generate this password. Okay, using Python's random modules. Python random module is a built-in module, and as I said, this module has been developed by Python software engineers. So these modules makes your code more simple because they have already defined some functions that you can use in your code. Therefore, you don't need to create your own functions, and they also create some classes, variables. You just reuse them. Just you can think of a module as a sample. For example, if you create a car, we already have a sample. We use that sample, then we create more car and more car, which makes our work very easier. How to use that module? We use this import keyword. Import keyword imports, and then we use the name of the module that we want to import. Okay. As I said, the module provides functions and various types of random data, for example, integer, floating point numbers, random selections from sequences, for example, some text or letters. Now you understood what a random module is. Now let's create some random integers. I gave you a demo. Okay, now I want to create another file. I call it, for example, import. I want to just I want to make another file inside my code. For example, I say okay, name of the file random tutorial.py. Now what I said we have to create some random integers. Okay, first of all I have to import random module. This is the keyword we use to import the name of the module, which is random. Now I want to generate some random integers. Once I pressed point or dot, it suggests me some function, for example random, shuffle, seed, choices. All of these functions, they have been developed for a specific purpose. In this case we want to use this function to generate random numbers, random integer numbers. As you can see, it suggests me two parameters. Inside my function I have to specify the beginning and end of the beginning and the end of the range. For example, I want to generate numbers between 1 and 100. Okay, I use random module. Inside random module I use this function, and then I specify beginning and end of the numbers, and between these numbers I want to generate some random numbers. Once that is generated, I have to store that inside a variable. Alright, now I want to print. Now I want to run my code. You can see this number is generated. Right now it is 64, right now 48, right now it is 8, it is 26, it is 20, it is 76, it is 35. You can see this number is generated, and it is between 1 and 100. Okay, this is how you generate random integers. Now we can also generate floating point numbers or decimal numbers. We use the same structure, we use the random module, and then we use a different function which is uniform. Okay, now I want to remove it. As I said, inside a random module I have many functions, and each function serves a specific purpose. And for generating decimal point numbers I used a specific function which is called uniform. Now it has the same syntax. You specify beginning and end of the number. For example, I want to generate numbers between 1 and 10. Once that is generated, you store that inside a variable. For example, okay, right now I print that. So let's run the code. You can see this number is generated. This number is generated. It is between 1 and 10. So this is how you can create or generate integers and decimal point numbers. The only difference is the function. Okay, now you understood what module is, and as I said, the random module has been created by Python developers. Okay, As I said, module is a simply Python file, okay, containing functions, variables, and classes that you can reuse across your multiple programs. This function has been developed by Python developers. Right now, I show you how you can create your own module. It is very easy, and for example, inside this, I want to create another file. For example, module, for example, random pi. Now inside this file you can create, as I said, you can store some variables. You can define variables, of course. You can define, for example, functions, and you can create some classes. I can simply store a value inside my variables, for example, pi. What is the value of pi? Value of pi is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, okay, the purpose of the module is you create your module, and you define some functions, and you store some values inside your variables. In the future you can reuse them, okay, you can reuse them in multiple places. So this value is important to me. I store inside these variables. Maybe in the future I can use it multiple times, so that's why I create my module. Alright, right now I simply create a function, for example add, which adds to number. I say please return the sum of a plus b. I also define another function, like it has two parameters. I say return a minus b. So now I have created this module. I come back to my code, okay. If I want to use this module, as I said, you use import keyword and the name of the module. This is the name of the module. Right now I import that into my code. How to use the variables or functions inside my module that I have already defined, okay, it is very simple. Print, I already showed it to you. Now you write the name of the module. Once I press dot, you can see lots of informations, and the first two are the functions that I defined, for example add and subtract. Right now I want to use or display the value of pi. Right now if I want to run my code, you can see the value of pi has been displayed. And also if I want to use my function, again it has the same structure. You use the name of the module. Once you press dot, you see two functions, add or subtract. For example, I want to subtract two numbers. I define two parameters inside my function, a and b, so you have to value for each of them. For example 12 for a, and for example 2 for b. 12 minus 2, which is equal to 10. So let's see. You can see it is very simple and easy how to create your own module. This is how Python developers created random modules, okay. I hope you got that. This is another practical examples, heads or tails, and in this case we select some random words inside list. Okay, so let me do that. We already worked with numbers and decimal points, point numbers. Now I want to create some random words. How can I do that? In this case you use choose function. Okay, choose functions. Inside this function I have multiple words, for example name of provinces in Afghanistan, Kabul. You have, for example, Mazar Sharif. You have Ghazni. You have Herat. You have Bamiyan. You have, for example, Kandahar. Okay, I choose some random words inside my list and I use this module, I use this function. Once that's selected, it should be stored inside province. Now I want to print province. So let's see right now. I made a small mistake. It is function. This function should always be inside this. Now you can see Herat has been displayed. I want to run my code again. Herat, Kabul, Herat, Bamiyan, Mazar Sharif, Kabul, Mazar Sharif. Now this is how you generate or select some random items from this list. It is the same example. Okay. Now that you understood random module, so let's work with Python list. What is a Python list? Python list is a data structure which stores some data inside memory. If you remember variable, and with variable we store a single value. For example, inside variable we only assign a single value. For example, city, inside city we have, for example, Kabul. Okay, it was the purpose of variable which stores value and stores value inside memory. For example, the drawback of variable is it only stores a single value, only Kabul. If you have multiple values like this, Kabul, Mazar Sharif, Ghazni, Herat, Bamiyan, Kandahar, so in this case you cannot use variable. Okay, in this case you use Python list. So this is the structure of Python list. How you assign some values in Python list. You have the name of the list, then you have equal sign, and you use bracket. Inside bracket you place your values. You can see right now if I want to use multiple values, I can see cities. of Afghanistan. If I want to print that, you will see all these cities. You can see Kabul, Mazar Sharif, Ghazni, Herat, Bamiyan, Kandahar. I have to comment this part of the code because I don't need them. Okay, right now if I run my code again, you can see Kabul, Mazar Sharif, Ghazni, Herat, Bamiyan, Kandahar. Inside this variable we stored multiple values. This is the concept of Python list. It is a data structure which is used to store data, okay, inside memory. So Python list has some characteristics. It has ordered sequence. You can see the values are stored in order. For example, Kabul, Mazar Sharif, and so on. And also it has flexible indexing. What does index mean? Index is mathematical values which starts from 1. Okay, if you want, here you can see we print the cities of Afghanistan. It prints all the provinces which are stored inside list. Right now, if you want to access to a single items, so in this case we use indexing. Okay, Python assign some values to each item. For example, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, this is called index. For each items we have correspondence index 1, 2, and so on and so forth. If you want to access, for example, Mazar Sharif, in this case you use index. How can you use that? It is very simple. You use the name of the index. Right now, if I want to print that, you only see Mazar Sharif. Okay, and the third one, it is mutable and dynamic. You can make some changes, you can add, remove, and so on. For example, if I want to add another province inside my list, how can I do that? I say cities of Afghanistan, then when I put point, you will see some functions. You can see append, extend, insert, sort, and so on. So if I want to insert or add a single item inside my list, I use this function. For example, I want to add Wardak. If I want to print that right now, you will see Wardak as well. You can see Wardak has been added by using this function append. If you want to, for example, add multiple items, how can you do that? For example, I want to add the northern province of Afghanistan to my list. I say northern province, which is equal to, for example, Balkh, Takhar, Kunduz, Baghlan, for example. How can I add this inside my list, inside this list? It is very simple. You use cities of Afghanistan you use extends. You have a function which is called extend. You use that. You extend that northern province of Afghanistan. Right now, if I want to run my code, you will see these provinces: Baghlan, Kunduz, Takhar, Balkh. You can see these have been added to my list. Another very important concept is, for example, you made some spelling error, or if you want to modify that, how can you do that? For example, okay, I made a mistakes to here. Okay, here it is not written correctly. How can I do that? I want to modify that. Cities of Afghanistan, I use the index number, which is 3, then I say, okay, this item is not written correctly. I see here it is written like this. Right now, if I want to run my code, you can see Herat has been changed, modified. Okay, as I said, list is a Python data structure. You use list to store multiple values at the same time in a single variable. Okay, so I told you how to add, how to remove, how to modify items inside list. I hope you understand that. And this is the end of the lesson, and thank you very much. See you.